Shalom, shalom, my brothers and sisters. Today is a great day to start off in a good life. You know, we make life complicated, but it don't have to be that way. We can just go through life and do the things that we normally do. But in order to do that, you have to understand how this whole machine works. It's a big ass machine and it's got a lot of little parts to it. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA. And this is from the desk of the Emissary. I am your host, War Smith Bay, broadcasting the War Report from a Black point of view. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. I know you heard that before. All right, the first thing I want to do is do a little civics before we go into the citizenship part. As you already know, we got the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. There are a few things that these branches do that you should know. That way you don't get left out of what's happening here. The executive branch consists of your mayors, your governors, and the president. They are the executives. Your mayor is the executive of the city, your governor, the executive of the state, and your president is the executive of the country. So keep that in mind. Let's go to the legislative part. What the legislative part does, it creates all these new bullshit laws that you see coming out, and it passes it on and enforces it in the next department. But the legislative department, they make the laws. And in there, you got the Congress and the House of Representatives. So every 2 years, like this election coming up, this is what people really are not paying attention to. Every 2 years, everybody in the Senate and everybody in the House has to be reelected. So they got us bamboozled and hoodwinked on the president, and that ain't got shit to do with us. We ain't elected no damn president. We electing these motherfuckers sitting in the House and the Congress. That's who we elect. And so don't lose focus of what our real responsibility is. It's not the president, you know, because they're going to do that from the electoral votes and all that other bullshit that they do. So don't even focus on that, but look at who's in your House of Representatives and your Congress, because they're the ones who will set the laws that say, hey, too many black people getting murdered in the street by the police. Police have no jurisdiction over black people anymore. They're the ones who would write that law. And they can't write that law if we don't make sure we get some of our people in Congress and in the House. So those two areas are our focus. Fuck the president. No, I'm just talking. But they do it every 2 years. The next department is the judicial. So we've talked about the executive department. So let's say the legislative department makes a law. Now the Congress approved it, the House approved it. Now they're going to shift it on over to the executive department, and the executive department can say, yeah, I'm going to sign this bill into law, or hell to the no, I'm rejecting this bill, I'm vetoing it. Send it back down to the House or the Congress, back to the legislative branch. So you have to understand that cycle in order to know what these folks been doing. So the judicial branch, it consists of the judges from the local judges, the county judges, the state judges, and the federal judges. All those judges control the judicial system. So if we're not voted with, like a city of San Antonio, you have a judge, many judges, several judges that are elected. Now you got some appointed, but you have many that are elected. You have to be involved in who you elect or that election, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a judge in there that don't like us. But you have to know your judges, because those are the ones who will put your ass in jail or put anybody you know in jail, and that ain't what you want. So you have to know your local judges, your county judges, and for that matter, you might even want to know your state judges. It's very rare that we're going to get up to the federal judges. So if we just focus on our judges right down there at Bexar County Precinct 2, or whatever that precinct is, District 2, if we could just focus on what's right in front of us, then we can get there. We can make it, y'all. We can make life real simple just by knowing what's happening here. So take a look at Congress and the House of Representatives. These folks have been there since Rodney King. I ain't gonna say the first. They have been sitting in Congress. Some of them been in there since Rodney King got his ass beat by the police and they got acquitted. So, and that includes Biden. What I'm saying is, these people are in there just like this. They just rolling over, sucking up money. And they're not doing anything for the constituents. We don't get anything from the legislative branch, even though we are the ones who built this damn country, and we're the ones who suffered in this damn country. We're the ones who getting killed in the street. But they don't see when we get killed in the street. They don't see when we come up missing. They don't see it. They don't write a law for us. You know, the white man says there is no law written for a black man that a white man has to respect. And that's pretty much the truth, because you and I know we are very careful around the police. The legislative branch has been the biggest procrastinators I've ever seen. They are sorry as hell because they don't get shit done for us. You know, they get shit done for the Chinese. They make laws for everybody else, but they do not make laws for black people, because we don't put enough pressure on these people. Now that's who we need to be looking at, because that's where it's at. And just so I want to be clear, procrastination, and this is what our legislative branch does, is the act of putting off, task, or delaying something that needs to be done. We need something on the books about us. Obama didn't do it. Nobody else gonna damn do it. And this lady ain't gonna do it either. But that don't give you a reason not to vote for her. At least you make some history, put the black woman in as president before Hillary Clinton get her ass in there. Even though it could have negative consequences, which a lot of the stuff that they don't do for us create negative consequences on our part. It is a common human experience that can include delaying appointments or academic assignments or laws, delaying a bill to get signed by the president. It can be anything in that nature. Procrastination is often considered a negative trait because it can hinder productivity and is associated with feelings of guilt, low self-esteem, and depression. It can also be a sign of a failure in self-regulation, where people are irrationally by putting things off even when they know it will lead to negative consequences. Look at the LA riots when Rodney King got beat and they got acquitted. They knew if they acquitted those guys, they were going to tear that damn city up. They knew it, and they don't care because all of those places that they burn, I ain't going to say all, but most of those places they burned down got insurance, and they collect their insurance money. That's what they do. Burn that shit down so we can rebuild it, where we can get the money and go on vacation. So it don't really make sense in our minds because all the legislative got to do is create the laws that we need. But let me tell you this last bit about these three branches. Those three branches cannot technically, let's say we're at the federal government level. If the federal government, like they wrote the 13th Amendment or the 14th Amendment or the 15th Amendment, which gave us voting rights, which where we are right now. So let's say they wrote the 15th Amendment. They cannot go down to Mississippi as a federal government and regulate voting. They turn that over to the state. There was an amendment to a particular law that I don't know right offhand that said that the federal government no longer has the power to go into these states and regulate voting. But at one time they did have the power. But these folks got it together and made sure they got an amendment to get that shit out of there so states can do what the hell they want to do. The entire system has been set up to keep you in a particular place because nobody wants to see us elevate. And what do you think that is? That is fear. That is fear at its greatest level. But they'll never admit it. But you know and I know that it is fear. We are afraid of what the black man can do. I don't even think white people invented anything. Black folks invented every damn thing, let me tell it. You know, now, but we got to realize in our own minds that we're bigger than what we think we are. We're more than what we give out in the community. We try to play our wealth and our responsibility and our proudness down so we can fit in. That's bullshit. Let people know who you are. Let them know that you ain't here for that bullshit. You ain't going to accept it. You know, but we go around talking about, let me participate. Now, you might want to know what I'm talking about when I say let me participate. Let me participate. You want to participate in everything that the white man does. And that's crazy as hell. You want to participate in the schools. So they said, okay, let's let these Negroes participate in our school system. But they let us participate in our school system so they can get our black kids into the pipeline to prison. And that's exactly what they did. They let you participate because that's what you wanted. And then they sent our kids to damn prison. If we did what the boss thought, that was freedom. We think when we win these little things that it's freedom, but it's not. That little shit they did the other day, like not the other day, but last year before, Juneteenth. Nobody was even talking about Juneteenth. We had no idea that they were going to put that law out there. But everything they do is something else in the background that's lingering that's going to benefit them. So every time they say something, every time they open their damn mouth, look behind the lie, because that's all it is. It's a goddamn lie. I'm sorry to say that. We've gotten to the point now where, and I don't mean no disrespect to nobody. People do what the hell they want to do. We want to be so much like the white man. We want to participate in everything the white man does. But in order to do that, we have to kind of lose our identity and our heritage and our culture. But that's the mistake we're making, thinking that that's what they want us to do is assimilate into who they are and do what they do. It's not like that. That's the wrong picture we're painting about ourselves. We want to marry white women because if we marry white women, that's going to elevate our status in a city or in a country. So we're better than we don't have any hindrance or held up frustrations about how you raped my great 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 grandmother and beat her ass and then shot her. We don't have any animosity against that. We okay. So I'm gonna marry me a white woman. Or I'm gonna marry me a white man after your great 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 grandmother got split. I ain't gonna go there. We have no laws passed in our favor. All right, so I've done that part, but here we go with the real stuff that I really want to talk about. Um, I'm gonna start with let's see if I can get this slide up. Um, there, where did it go? Right there. All right, boom, boom, boom. Okay, this is where we're gonna go. I'm gonna go through these slides, and I'm gonna just talk about a few things. Like, first of all, how did we get here? How did we get to the position we're in right now as Black people? Because believe it or not, we're really stuck. We're stuck because they're doing everything they can do to not let us advance. And they've been doing that for the last 300 years, but we still advance. So we're going to have to get more aggressive with our advancement, or it's going to take another 200 years for us to get anywhere because we've left a couple of generations out to dry. They're not going to have as much sense and as much common success as we're having. These kids are gonna catch hell. They ain't gonna make the money we make. So if we keep on at this trajectory, we're gonna traject ourselves back into Mr. Billy style. We're gonna be doing what Mr. Billy wants us to do. Citizenship or true citizenship. See, America don't tell you about all that shit behind the scenes. Like there is a true citizenship and there is a citizenship. So we're going to talk about authenticating a birth certificate, and I'm going to try to do all this as quickly as I can. We're going to talk about your names, my name, your name, and everybody else's name that we ain't changed. You shouldn't change your name though, even though it's a slave name. Don't change it because that gives you the history and gives your family the history of your where you went. 1751, when they created the Liberty Bell, and if you don't know it by now, the Liberty Bell got Leviticus 25:10. That verse says what people should be doing for us. Read that verse, Leviticus 25:10. Leviticus 25:10. The Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. The United States of America and the United States, two different things. The Gettysburg Address, all men are created equal. These two things, these two documents say that all men are created equal. Now, see, they don't think we paying attention to that. If they say that we all men are created equal and slavery still exists, you're excluded from every damn thing, black man, black woman. We are not part of it. 1863, they started the Emancipation Proclamation, and if you don't know, there are four. So let's see if we can move here. All right. Before we go, you always do definition, resident and domicile. Don't let anybody ask you what's your residence because a residence is a dwelling in a place other than a home or on a long-term basis. So if they say, what's your residence? They telling you that you're not going to be there for long. That's what they're doing. So if anybody asks you, where's your residence? You tell them, I don't have a residence. I have a domicile. Sovereign, a person's body or state vested with independent and supreme authority. Now, most of us Americans don't have sovereign rights. We're not an international diplomat. Even the Moors they're not sovereign. But there are certain things that the Moors can do that the regular black person can't. All right, citizenship, someone who by either birth or naturalization. That's what the 14th Amendment says, but we're going to look at that. Emancipation is the act by which one who is under another's power and control is freed. So we were freed. Proclamation, a formal public announcement. Law, see, it's two types. It's more than two types of law, but these are the two I'm going to mention. The regiment that orders human activities, and statutory law defines the statutes. So law pertains to people. Statutory law pertains to documentation. It helps change the writing, the Constitution, and anything else. This is where we begin, y'all. Melville Hertzkovitz started the first documented investigation of the slaves that were brought to America. This man solidified our culture in America. Not just the United States, but all through the Americas. So he's a very important person towards us. And he's a white guy. I'm sorry to say he is. I think he's German. This is what he did. He acknowledged black culture in America as African culture. He said, maintain African heritage in behavior, institutions, family, language, and art. Now, that is very, very important. They said that the slaves that were brought over here, they maintained their African heritage in the behavior, in the institution, in the family, in the language, and in the art. He declared an unbroken link to African Christianity, propelling the westernization of slaves. Now, if you don't know it, Ethiopia has the oldest Bible in the world. So King James Version ain't about shit. I'm just going to be honest with you. And I'm going to say it, and I don't give a damn what nobody think about it. That's what our problem is. We don't say what we feel or what we think. We got to get to that point. He came up with a university program of African American studies at Northwestern University in the anthropology department. Now, as we just talked about, this guy we just talked about, Melville Hertzkovitz, whatever his name. I can't even get it right the second time. I got it right the first time. He did a lot for black people. This guy right here, Walter Plecker, he tried to shit on us every which way he can. He's the one who came up with colored people because he was in Congress. He saw that too many people of color were getting benefits from the government by using their indigenous form or something to that effect. But anyway, he wanted Indians to be classified as colored because he wanted to take away their nationality, just like they did Toby when Kunta Kinte got beat because he wouldn't say his name was Toby. They had to take away his heritage, and that's what Walter Plecker did. He took away our heritage by making everybody colored. And then some of us got that on our birth certificate if you're around my age. They put it on there, and we have to deal with it right now. That's why you need to get your shit authenticated because on some of our birth certificates, it say colored. On some, it say Negro. On some, it say black. On some, it say African American. That is the biggest, I don't know, the biggest lie that America ever told. I'm gonna just say that. Our birth certificate system and our names or our races that they put on our birth certificate is the biggest lie America ever told. Walter Plecker, he did the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. The act describes the one drop rule in Indian, Negro, mulatto, and that there you go. White people trying to be Indian and mulatto because of the benefit. This slide always messed up, so I'm gonna skip by it. Slave They wanted to call everybody slave. And when you read the 14th Amendment, they don't say black, they don't say African American, they don't say Negro, they say slave. So when did slave become a nationality? It's not. And not only slave, the other ones are not either. Nationality, Negro, color. Those are man given names. God named us. But here's something that most people don't know. In Lincoln's writing, in his executive will, he said that there were 10 million dark people on the other side of the Appalachian Mountains. And we need to go and meet those people because we need to know if we're going to get free passage through the mid America, or are they trying to make us pay to get through there? Because we want to send prospectors or whatever they call them out to West. So he only said it this much about it. I didn't see very much more about him talking about that 10 million black folks. That's exactly what it was. So when you hear the words that 6 million slaves got brought over here on ship, you ought to be saying, bullshit. Because that's what it is. You can't I doubted they brought 300,000 slaves over here. If you did 300,000 slaves, you had to make 50,000 trips back and forth across that water. And that didn't happen. I ain't going to say that many, maybe 20,000. That's a lot of trips. And it didn't happen that way. They didn't have that many people that knew how to navigate that way. So they did not bring 6 million people to America. They enslaved the people that were already here. Look at what they did to the Indians. They enslaved the Indians. And the worst part about this, they encouraged the Indians to have slaves. And they said, and there was a few that did. And they said, if you didn't act like the white folks and get you some slaves, we're going to treat you like a slave. So some of the Indians took the bait and they got slaves. So that's just a part of history I know about and I read about. The black Seminoles of the land are most of the Indians from all of the South that migrated to Mexico. And in Mexico, Charles II issued a royal proclamation giving liberty to all those slaves that left this country and went to Mexico. And I don't know the city, but they went under the realm of Charles II, and he issued that proclamation. And he gave them land, he gave them money, he gave them crops, he gave them a lot of stuff. So that's why if you go to Mexico now, there are places in Mexico where everybody's black. Everybody. And everybody that's black speaking Spanish. I mean, there are cities down there with populations of black people, and it's beautiful. So don't think that black people ain't everywhere, because they are. Okay, I just did that one. Let me keep going. Okay, overstanding a name. If you have Bay or L on the end of your name, it is considered our family name. It's added to the last name, connecting us to our ancestors, the ancient Moabites. Let's say Soprano. We all know that Soprano is an Italian name. So we all know now that Bay and L is our name. Garcia, we all know that Garcia is a Mexican name. We all know that Oliver is a Latino or Latin name. And we mostly know that Li or Wang Feng is a Chinese name. We know these things. But for us, if somebody walked up to us and said, well, hey, brother, what's your nationality? What you gonna say? Black, American, African American? They're gonna look at you like you stupid, because this is what a nationality is. If if you're Japanese, your nationality, well, if you're from Japan, your nationality is Japanese. If you're from uh, 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 Korea, your nationality is Korean. and so on and so on. So our problem right now is we don't have that established in our society because don't want to give us knowledge. But if you do the research, you'll get the knowledge. What we have to do is reclaim our birthright and our divine creed, as written in Leviticus 25:10, engraved on the Liberty Bell. You got to know your part of this government. These are adjectives: Negroes, colored, slave, black, African American, or nigger. That is not us, but this is how the white man called us all these words. We didn't give ourselves these names. They did. They gave us these names, and they don't have the authority to name us. And if we allow them to name us, then we got to do some self adjustments with ourselves because we've accepted the position they put us in, and that's what our problem is. We cannot do that. There's a way back, though. We all know the emancipation gave us freedom off the plantation, but it never said we were citizens. That's where the problem lies. We were free, but we were not citizens. And they even discussed it. Well, if we're going to give them freedom, are they citizens? No, they're not citizens because they didn't take the oath. So how do you take the oath? I know you do it if you go in the military. I don't know how to tell you to take it other than go by a recruiting office and ask those guys because they know how to do it. But every military person or retired person that went as far as boot camp, they took what you call the oath of amnesty. Everybody has to take it. All the Southern people that were in the Confederate Army, they had to take it. And they were not going to be admitted back to the Union if they didn't. So they took it. So United States promised to liberate us and pay us. He promised to pay the slave owners up to $10 per liberated slave. And then when he wrote the 14th Amendment, he said, I ain't paying y'all a damn thing. And that's where the problem started. So in 1865, January 1, that's when he passed the Emancipation Proclamation. But the 14th Amendment was before that. And it said that we are not going to be paid for. So it's like you take a candy bar out of a store and don't pay for it, they're going to come looking for you to put it back in there. So the people in the South, they put the Confederate generals in charge of the states, of the southern states. So they went right back to where we were before we walked off the plantation. The objective for the white folks of the Confederate Army that took control of the South, given to them by Johnson, who took over after Lincoln was assassinated, he put those people in charge, and they came out with the black codes, and they made our lives miserable. We were free slaves. That's what we were, because they put our ass right back on that plantation. Dred Scott versus Stanford is a man who was in a free state. I think it was Missouri, and he had to go visit some relatives in another state. So he went up there to visit his relatives, and that was a slave state. So the white man saw him there, and they caught him and made him a slave. And he was fighting tooth and nail not to be a slave. So he filed a suit because he had money, he had land, he had all this stuff. He filed a lawsuit, and it got all the way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled that Americans of African descent, whether free or slave, were not American citizens. See, I'm getting somewhere with this citizenship shit. But you have to see what's deep down into our culture. They could not sue in federal court because they're not a citizen. The court also ruled that Congress lacked power to ban slavery in U.S. territory. All that is written in that right in whatever they call it when they put this out, edict from the Supreme Court. This is still written. It ain't never been rescinded. Never. It's still on the books as their decision. If Dred Scott, a black man, could not be a citizen, in the Supreme Court says that African American African of descent cannot be a citizen, whether you're free or a slave. That's what these white folks said. And we ain't got no choice but to follow through. So this is a little bit more on Dred Scott. Moving on. 29th paragraph or something. The question is, what are we? We are Moors Americans. We came from Senegambia, region of Africa, in the early 14th century. But before that, we came from Pangaea. That's why he said he had 10 million people over here, black people on this continent. We're the inhabitants of Northwest Africa. That is what this is. This is Northwest Africa, not America. They gave it the name America, just like they gave it the name Africa. Africa is formerly known as Alkebulan. Alkebulan. I hope that's the right pronunciation. But the fact of the matter is, we've accepted the things that they put on us, and we ran with it, and we never challenged it. You got to challenge your life sometime. We follow the Christian doctrine and never challenge it. Your parents had a white Jesus on the wall. You put a white Jesus on the wall. We never challenged why we do this. You go to church every single Sunday to hear the same damn thing. You get up, you shout, you go home. You come back next Sunday and you say you're going there to get recharged, but you could have a family picnic at your house to do that. But I'm not bashing nobody. I'm just saying we do all this shit that we think is our customs, and it's not our damn custom, it's theirs. That's what I was talking about in the beginning, how we try to assimilate to every damn thing that they do. And damn near, when you see black people doing shit like that, like not bad, the church, you see, what you see is them doing what their ancestors did when they needed it as ancestors. But as you move forward in life, you have to grow and elevate with the time, and you do things according to your lifestyle. If you can't do nothing through the week but you can spend 8 hours or 9 hours in church every week. I mean, something wrong, because you go a lot. All right, here's the reason I say this is Northwest Africa. If you look there, you see North America, you see South America. They both, millions of years ago, this was one land mass. And millions of years ago, there were people on this land. They might have been giants, they might have been pygmies, they might have been anything. But there were people on this land when it was one land. So when the tectonic plates started to move, the North American moved over along with the South America moving over, creating the Atlantic Ocean. Those people that were on South America and North America, they didn't run back over there and try to jump across the ditch to get back into Africa. They went with their land. They moved with their land. So for them to try to make you believe that there were no black people here all along, they know you're stupid if you believe that shit. There's more pyramids here in this country, on this continent, than it is over there in Africa. I mean, in Egypt, up in the northern part of Africa. There's a lot of pyramids here in America. There's a lot of relics. There's a lot of things that you can see if you pay attention that's here in America. I'll skip that one. And I'm going through a lot that I ain't trying to tell you everything that I got You see where it say in Leviticus 25:10, it says, return every man unto his possessions, and ye shall return every man unto his family. The Bible says that, and it tells them that that's what they supposed to do for us. But they were supposed to do it like in 1927 or something like that, and they ain't did it yet, and they ain't gonna do it. The Declaration of Independence, I wanted to highlight all men are created equal, but they were not talking about us because in 1776 we were bone dead in slavery. Remember 1865. All right, we got 27 amendments to the Constitution, and there are certain amendments that we should really pay attention to. I'm going to get to that. Excuse me. The Bill of Rights. They created the Bill of Rights because they didn't have the power to regulate black people with guns. Hear what I said? They did not have the power to regulate black people with guns. There were battles in this country, and all those places where you see that have been burnt out by the white folks, there was some black folks with guns there killing white folks, and then they ran in. And why do you think every time there's a conflict between black folks and white folks in our ancestry, that only one white person got killed, but 47 black people got killed? That's bullshit. He who wins the battle tells the story. And that's exactly what happened. He who wins the battle tells the story. So if I wanted to look like that we the bad motherfuckers, what am I going to tell you? That we killed 40 of them and only one of us died? Shit, that's bullshit. Why do you think they're so damn mad? Because we killing them just as quick as they were killing us. And that's the problem right now. They don't tell us shit. When Texas implemented the concealed handgun carry, black people didn't know about that shit. No black people went down to Austin and got their certification. And then I looked at the statistics back in 2003 or 2004, and there were like 95,000 white folks with a handgun in Texas that could carry it anywhere. There were like 1,700 black folks with a license and that could carry it in Texas. And, you know, it goes down as the races go down. But that is unreal. You know, it's enough black people here where more people should have had handguns. So I took it upon myself to go down to Austin and get my instructor license. And when I got that instructor license, I was able to train nearly, I'd say, over 700 people. So it's possible. And my goal was to put as many guns in black people's hands as I could, because we're acting like ain't shit gonna happen around here, and we want to be thinking that this is America. Shit don't happen here. Don't get it twisted, you know, because we talk all that shit, but we don't do shit but give away shit. You know, you're supposed to be the superpower, but you're giving away all of our fucking shit with my fucking money, and I didn't authorize it. You know, these taxes are something else. We pay taxes before we even get our damn check, and the shit go wherever they want it to go. We elect those people to send it anywhere they want to send it, and that's what they do. The executive will of Abraham Lincoln is something you should look up. And in 1862, 10 million people lived outside the U.S. jurisdiction. They are called Egypt of the West people. You hear what I'm saying? This is what he said. In 1862, 10 million people live outside U.S. jurisdiction. They are called Egypt of the West people. Payment for liberated slaves and colonization of liberated slaves any place they desire. The Constitution says that the Emancipation Proclamation says that they supposed to resettle us as slaves anywhere we wanted to go on this continent, and give us land and give us a certain amount of money. None of that shit happened. I mean, the promises were made to get treaties signed, and then they were broken right then before they even got the damn ink dry. That's how damn treacherous they are. The fifth, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against itself. All in the 13th Amendment, here's where we start to get into the shit. All persons held as slaves. That's my problem right there with that word slave within any state. How are you going to classify a human species as slaves? That is not our name. But they put this shit in the Constitution like it is our name. And you will never see, it's nowhere in the Constitution you will see black, African American, Negro, or colored. You're not going to see that. Only thing you're going to see is slave, because that's what they want us to stay, slave. You know about the 13th Amendment. 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized are in the U.S. are citizens. Now, this is where it gets touchy. When you got freed as slaves, you did not take the oath of amnesty. You just walked off the plantation, bam, you free. Now, let's look at what I'm going to tell you. All the Southern Confederate soldiers had to take the oath of amnesty to be a citizen back in the Union. What happens when an immigrant comes down to the border and they get asylum here in America, and then they have to go and raise their right hand and take the oath of amnesty before they can become a citizen? What happens when you join the military? Before you set foot into anything, you raise your right hand and you take the oath of amnesty. So nobody that walked off the plantation in 1865 took the oath of amnesty. In America, it says all along that there's no way a former slave or descendant of a slave can be a citizen. So why do you think they didn't say, all right, well, why they made all the Southern people take the oath of amnesty, but they didn't say shit to the black folks? Y'all just free. You ain't got to do shit. Go on. But you ain't free. You free, but you ain't no citizen. And that's the problem. They freed you and didn't give you the instructions to solidify your position in America. That's why we can be treated any damn way they treat us. That's the problem. That is the one big problem. We did not take the oath of amnesty. Our ancestors didn't take the oath of amnesty. If you went to the military, you did. But if you were black coming off plantation, the only way you took it, you went to the military. Otherwise, every other slave that came off the plantation never took it. And if your family line, you know, ain't nobody took it, you can go take it today. You can go take it anytime. But when you take it, it makes you a true citizen. You're a citizen now, but you're not a true citizen, which means you have privileges. You have privileges, not rights. That's the problem. With privileges, like you give your child a privilege, if he take out the garbage, his privilege is he can play Nintendo or whatever them damn game, PlayStation. He can play the game. But if he don't do it, you take away his damn privilege to play the game. So right now, we're sitting on a keg of dynamite and gunpowder, and we are not doing anything about it. That's the problem. You're thinking everything is good, but they gonna slap some shit on us as a culture that we ain't gonna be able to get off. Like the tar and feather they used to do to our black people, the shit they gonna do to us, we're not gonna be able to turn in hundreds of years. It's just gonna be a repeated cycle of where we are. They see us coming up. They see us getting more intelligent every day, and they see that we are going to be a formidable opponent in America. And don't get your damn panties in a bunch about Kamala Harris, because she ain't gonna do shit for us. That's why I say fuck the presidential election. I'm focused on the Senate and the damn House of Representatives because they're the one who create them bullshit ass laws. That's who we need to focus on. The oath of amnesty only applied to the southern states. The people, the slaves in the north never took it either, and it was only an obligation to obligate Confederates. It is what it is. Here we go again. That all men are created equal. That's the third document that says that all men are created equal. But look at the date. It's all during slavery. We were slaves when they said that. So how can they say some shit like that? That all men are created equal. They can say it because they did not consider us as human beings. Because we were not human beings, they didn't worry about it. They considered all men are created equal and not even worry about the black folks. So we were slaves, which is sad. The U.S. Constitution, purpose, preamble, relevant amendments, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the Second Amendment came out, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So black people could have guns. So that's why they came out with the Bill of Rights, which gave the states the ability to regulate something. It says that. I just don't know the wording. The fourth is search and seizure. The fifth is nor shall be compelled in any criminal case. You can't testify against yourself. Um, United States District of Columbia, neither slavery. Here we go again. The 13th Amendment, slavery nor involuntary servitude. See, when they wrote this, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were setting it up so they got a loophole. Every damn thing they do here is a loophole with it. But we have to find that damn loophole. And it works once you find it, everything gets smooth. It's easy. Like buying a car. We go through hell trying to buy a car. But the bottom line is there's a loophole in buying a car. And if we don't know what the loophole is, we get stuck on the lot for 6 or 7 hours. You have to know the game and not the damn assimilation because they gonna let you assimilate, but they ain't gonna tell you the little ins and outs, the nuances that need to be known to survive in America. They're not gonna tell you. The legitimate 13th Amendment of the Constitution. This, the regular 13th Amendment only the one that you see, the one that they publish out in the public only has two amendments, two statutes, or sections. But when you look at back in history, the 13th Amendment had 20 sections, and it was ratified too. See, the proposed January 31st, 1865, ratified December 6th, 1865. Let's go back and look at something. 13th Amendment with two sections. It was proposed on January 31st, 1865, the same time as this other one. But this one got ratified. And the white folks played it off like the one got ratified was two sections. But this is the legitimate 13th Amendment. It has 20 sections. So if you're interested in that, just Google the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. The 14th Amendment, here's where the problem started. If you're born or neutralized and you're subject to the jurisdiction, you're citizens of the United States, and within their residence, whatever. Shall have engaged in insurrection. That's important. But what's important about the 14th, if you're born or naturalized in the United States, you are a citizen. Yes, you are, but you're not a true citizen. That's the bottom line. Claim for the loss of emancipation or any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. This is just so damn important. I got to read it. But neither the United States nor any state shall assume or pay any debt or obligation incurred in aid of insurrection or rebellion against the United States. Or, now listen, this is or. When it says or, it's a totally separate thing. Any claim for the loss of emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligations, and claims shall be held illegal and void. So basically, in the 14th Amendment, they telling all them slave owners that y'all ain't getting a damn dime from the federal government, and it's illegal if you ask. When they could get it before this amendment was passed, only 29 people applied for, I think it was like 1,000 slaves where they got paid for it. But they did it ahead of this amendment. That was it. But the key in this one is that the U.S. say if you're trying to claim, I'll say you owe somebody some money, it's illegal. Then they're going to void it. So what does that mean? That means that all the slaves that were promised to be liberated when they got liberated, that the plantation owner would get compensated up to $10 per slave that was liberated. Here, he's telling them that you ain't getting shit. You ain't getting nothing. So don't ask. That's sad that the America did that. But when you go back to the Fifth Amendment, it says, look it up, please. It says that the Fifth Amendment, you will never be deprived of your something, something, something. It says that you cannot do something without proper compensation. That's basically what it says. And in the 14th Amendment, it says, I don't give a damn what happened. You ain't getting paid. And you ain't gonna do shit about it. That's the bullshit. All right, this is a birth certificate. And this is the front and back. And what you have to do is look at these numbers. Like on the back, you see at the top center, there's a number. And then if you look over, it's a number over here. I forgot where it is. Oh, it's right there on the top right corner. You have two different numbers. And then you got social security number and all that other shit. But these two numbers are considered your stock exchange numbers. These numbers are very important to America. I don't give a shit about you. You are a commodity. Same with your social security card. You should read what's on the back of it. You got a number back there. These numbers mean something that we don't even know. Why would they put it on there if it didn't mean anything? Okay, here we are where I was telling you about you have to authenticate your birth certificate that we just looked at. In every state, there's a document you fill out and it costs you like 10, 15, maybe $20. 20 in Texas, I think. In the state of Mississippi, it's only $15. And what you do is you fill this document out, give them a money order or a check, and send it to the Secretary of State and say, I want to authenticate my birth certificate. And what does that mean? To authenticate your birth certificate means that you don't need the United States to represent you anymore, because that's all it does. Your birth certificate does is give them the authority to represent you. in anything. And they also give them the authority to regulate you. Listen now, you regulated by this consensual document that they don't tell you you don't have to have that. But in the first 15 days of a birth, you have to file for a birth certificate. But as soon as you get the birth certificate, you can authenticate it. It's still a birth certificate, it's just authenticated. And if you see that little clip up in the top left hand of the United States of America authentication, your birth certificate is hooked behind, original copy of your birth certificate is behind this top document. Same with the state. And if you separate the two, then it's no longer valid. You have to go get another. But you have to do your state, and then once you get the state back, you ask for two from your state. So you can keep one, and you got to send the state one to the federal with the document for the federal and whatever the fee is. And then you send it to them, and then they'll send it back. But they're gonna ask you, well, what state, what country you think you're gonna be going to. You can say Morocco, you can say Taiwan, you can say anywhere. They don't care. You just have to put a foreign country on there. The Fifth Amendment. Oh, so I wrote it. Here it is. This is the Fifth Amendment. I was telling you that the 14th Amendment is void because it violates the Fifth Amendment. So the Fifth Amendment says, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. See, how can you tell me this in the Fifth Amendment? And I believe in my Constitution, this is the Fifth Amendment, but then you come back on the 14th Amendment and you say, oh, well, I don't think I'm going to honor that debt. And make it official by putting it in the Constitution. That's what they did. But it's telling you here in the Fifth Amendment that they're not going to pay you. Well, they're telling you they can't take your shit without paying you. In the 14th, they're telling you they're not going to pay you. That's the cold shit there. A lot about the 14th, I'm going to go past it. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property. That's in the 14th, too, without due process of law. No, that's the 5th. I just got it kind of screwed up. Black codes, which when they said they're not going to pay the American people, they're not going to pay the plantation owners. They said that the Southern generals and the people that they gave the power to regulate the states, the Southern states, the same one they just fought against, the exact same people are in charge of the exact same shit that they fought for. The only thing different, right, is that the slave, they're no longer slaves. But so now we got to come up with some shit to get these people back on the damn plantation because we losing money. So they came out with the black codes, right? January 1, 1865, they were writing this shit down. Arrested for gathering, arrested for walking, vagrancy, you could not vote, hold office, sit on juries, better than a white man. You cannot do better than a white man, or you're going to get your donkey poisoned or your mule killed. You could not buy property. You had to lease it and sharecrop it. You could not own or carry a gun. You could not build a homestead. And if you married a white woman, you can consider yourself dead. Drive a carriage. You couldn't have a carriage when a white man was walking. You had laws out there that said you cannot go to school. You can't go to school. But now they want us in their school so they can put us in the pipeline. Do you know that 9 out of 10 students in high school, 9 out of every 10 students in high school, if they're black, it's 287% chance that they're gonna get suspended during those 4 years of high school. And that's what happens. They start to push our black people into a criminology that they're not, and they suffer from it. You know, our kids got a mental problem right now. They hate ourselves. The hatred of self. That's what they're suffering from. And if you went to the white man's house, you better carry your ass to the back door. Go to the back door. Then after the black codes came the Jim Crow laws. After the Jim Crow laws came our ancestry and birthrights. Round two, the Amnesty Act of 1872. Get y'all some citizenships. And that is my presentation for today. I wanted to do this presentation because we don't know our government. We think, you know, you were told in elementary school that our government works for us. They're there to protect us. They're there to do for us. They're there to make everything about for us. But that ain't the damn case. The government works for the government. The people ain't got no damn power over the government. So don't believe the bullshit. And see what I told you earlier? Whatever they tell you you can do, you can't. Whatever they tell you you can't do, you can. It's opposite of whatever they say. So don't believe the bullshit. Don't let it get you. That is something we're going to talk about on Sunday. It's basically the same thing. And I'm going to call it a part of it. Let me participate in white America. I want to participate in white America because that is where I'm supposed to be. And I want to be just like Boss Man. That's what I want. Let me be just like Boss Man. With that, I'm going to say shalom, shalom, shalom. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting from the desk of the Emissary. This is from a Black point of view. And the purpose of this broadcast is to enlighten you on what's actually happening beneath the sheets. The things you might miss. But you have to be ready when the shit hit the fan, if it ever does. I'm not saying it will. You have to be ready. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. Every Wednesday at 6:30 and every Sunday at 3:30, we broadcast. We broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're working on some other sites that we're going to broadcast on. And I'm looking forward to you joining, subscribing to my Facebook page, not Facebook, my YouTube page, and then subscribing to or liking my Facebook page. I really could use your help on help and support for those pages. Again, this is the Black News Network, and your support is greatly appreciated. Join us this Sunday at 3:30 for citizenship rights and privilege.